Funds are increasingly being produced by ITS researchers. Funds are increasingly being produced by
If people are talking about logistics and supply chain in Indonesia, we publish papers, we are doing research on transportation modeling, we are doing research on warehouse modeling, and we also do a lot of networking with industries, with companies, and our research has been used in many companies in Indonesia.
We know that Indonesia is the second biggest biodiversity in the world after Brazil, but I think if we combine with our sea area, Indonesia will be the biggest biodiversity in the world. And we do believe that if we perform science of nature and how to utilize it, it is very big opportunity for the treatment of some disease, not only for Indonesian people but also for the world.
Considering the fact that Indonesia has unique climate characteristics, and also Indonesia is also very well known as the laboratory of disaster, therefore a lot of issues, a lot of problems have to be solved. But this is a challenge for us. We cannot work alone. We need to work interdisciplinary, which involve expert, local or internationally. Therefore, we invite all of you to work here with us in ITS. We expect that our contribution and our work will bring ITS as the Center for Excellence in Disaster in Indonesia.
ITS has more than 180 laboratories spread over 10 faculties. The laboratory is used to support faculty and students' research and provides the opportunity to collaborate on big projects and create impactful research programs.
So, as the institution, I think ITS has contributed a lot in terms of giving an ideas and spirit, and at the same time self-confidence to our country about how capable we are.
ITS, within the next 5 years, it would be a research and innovative university. It means that ITS will be playing a big role in the region, especially in Asia. For the next long term, in 2045, ITS would be an entrepreneurial university. Means that it having a big role playing in the global world.
So, come and join us.
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 Come and join with us, ITS.
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 ITS. University of Europe.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we start commence the program, and here are the following webinar protocol. For each participant ID, please use your real name following with your origin of institution. All of participants are expected to mute the audio and only unmute the video during the event. We cordially invite you to take your own firm and comfort seat in your own room, and please avoid the backlight. Make sure that you have a good and stable internet connection. If you have an earphone or headset, We recommend you to use it so that your voice can clearly and loudly to be heard. During the Q&A discussion session, all participants, please use the chat box to deliver the questions. Thank you for your cooperation and consideration.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the guest lecture series on SDGs today, Tuesday, 28 September 2021. I am Ochi from ITS Global Engagement, will be your master of ceremony this afternoon. Thank you for joining our guest lecture series on SDGs today. And before we start our agenda, let me inform you some rules on the event. First, please adjust your name or ID screen using format name_campus. For example, Ochi_ITS. Second, during the lecture, please turn off your microphone and only turn on the microphone when the moderator or the MC gives the chance to speak. After that, please fill your attendance at bit.ly/GLS_attendance. Our committee is also sent the attendance link on the Zoom chat room. And for participants who wish to get an e-certificate and stamp, please fill the attendance 15 minutes after the session start. And participants who wish to ask questions during the question and answer session or Q&A session, please send your question to bit.ly/GLS_Q&A and the link for question listed in the chat room as well. Or maybe you can ask directly by clicking raise hand feature, and after that the moderator and the MC will also give you the chance to speak. And today's GLS on SDGs will present a topic entitled How to Dethrone Asia's Most Obese Country title through meaningful and fun physical activity, that will be delivered by Mr. Ahmad Fahim Zulkifli, Master of Science from University Teknologi Mara. And other than that, we will also have a topic entitled World English and Quality Education that will be delivered by Ms. Verna Gingo, Master of Arts in Education from Surigao State College of Technology. And also, this lecture will be moderated by Ibu Maratus Solihah, PhD from ITS. And before we start our agenda, allow me to deliver our schedule today as follows. First, we have opening as we're doing now. And then we have an introduction to the moderator and speaker. After that, we will have lecture session, Q&A session. And last, we have certificate awarding and closing. Okay, now let's proceed to our next agenda. Please let me introduce about our moderator. So our moderator of today is Ibu Maratus Solihah, PhD. She received her bachelor's degree from Industrial Engineering in ITS Indonesia, her master's degree in Industrial Engineering. In the first year, she attended in Department of Industrial Engineering, ITS Indonesia, and her second year, she was in Department of Service Engineering and Management at University of Porto. And finally, she have her doctoral degree in Mechanical System Engineering, Tokyo Metropolitan University in Japan. And also, her research interest is strategy formulation, self-validation, product survey system. Okay, now without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda by Ibu Maratus Solihah. The time is yours, Ibu.
Okay, thank you very much, Ochi, for the introduction. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Ahmad Fahim Zulkifli and Ms. Verna Gingo and all participants. I am Maratus from Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, ITS. I'm very honored and grateful to be with you as the moderator of today's guest lecture series on Sustainable Development Goals, particularly for Stream B that will focus on the goal number 4 today, which is the quality education. So in the next 18 minutes, we will learn together from two respected speakers about the Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality education. As mentioned by Onik before, the first speaker, Mr. Ahmad Fahim Zulkifli from University Technology Mara, will share with us about how to dethrone Asia's most obese country title through meaningful and fun physical activity. Meanwhile, our second speaker, Ms. Verna Gingo, will share about word English and quality education. So before we start, I would like to introduce you to both speakers by briefly explaining their resume. So I will start with Mr. Ahmad Fahim Zulkifli. So Mr. Ahmad Fahim Zulkifli is from University Technology Mara. He is now a PhD candidate at University Technology Mara, but he has graduated from Master of Science at Physical Education from Arizona State University. Also, he holds a BS at Sports Science and Psychology from University of Leeds in 2013, and he holds a diploma at Sports Studies at University Technology Mara in 2010. Mr. Zulkifli has several academic positions such as supervisor of the academic exercise course, supervisor of pre-service teachers practicum, super advisor of Physical Education Association, as well as the resource person for several undergraduate taught courses. In terms of professional development, Mr. Zulkifli was a member for the Southeast Asia Social Innovation Network from 2018 until 2019. He has published a book in 2020 entitled Carnival Majoram. So now let me read the resume from Ms. Verna Gingo, our second speaker. Okay, so Ms. Gingo is from Surigao State College of Technology. Same with Mr. Ahmad. Ms. Gingo also is a PhD candidate in English Language and Literature at Ateneo de Manila University. She holds a Master of Art in Education major in English, as well as Bachelor in Secondary Education major in English at the University Surigao State College of Technology. She is an active and permanent faculty member at Surigao State College of Technology from 2012. Ms. Gingo has several research interests involving such as word Englishes, unequal Englishes, translingual practice, and multilingual education. Okay. Because both speakers are already with us in the Zoom, so let me greet them first. Hello, Mr. Zulkifli and Ms. Gingo. I'm sorry.
Hello.
A little bit
Hello,
difficult
good
for me
afternoon.
to pronounce your name. Thank you very much for your willingness to share with us in today's series. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to give the Zoom first to Mr. Ahmad Fahim to start his presentation, and then we will continue with Ms. Verna Gingo's lecture. And both Mr. Ahmad and Mr. Verna, each of you will have 40 minutes maximum to deliver your presentation. So, Mr. Ahmad, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, good afternoon to all. Before we start, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to ITS, especially for this opportunity. All right, before we start, I'll try to share the screen. Okay, so thank you so much again for everybody for attending this event. So my name is Ahmad Fahim Zulkifli. So I'm with the Department of Physical and Health Education, so University Technology Mara UiTM, Malaysia. So in this short lecture, so I hope to share a little bit about Mission Possible. So from sedentary to active through meaningful and fun physical activity. So we have about 40 minutes, so I hope to be fast. And I hope not to bore each one of you to death this afternoon. And of course, I hope that if there is one or two things that make sense in today's lecture, we could take it back home and hopefully start to do improvement in our life and also the people around us as well. Okay, let's go. Okay, minute paper. When I say the word go, okay, I need each one of you to grab a piece of paper and a pen. Go. Paper and a pen. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for grabbing a pen and a paper. Okay, when I say the word go, I need each one of you to start writing as much as possible in 1 minute about quality education and obesity. Go. Think about the relationship between quality education and obesity, and also the consequences of quality education towards obesity and vice versa. Go for it. Anything. There is no correct or false answer. Something for you to reflect your thoughts. And freeze. Awesome, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for trying your best. So just take about 30 seconds to skim through all the words, all the things that you have written on that piece of paper. Go. Okay, so basically the goals from our short lecture today is basically to see the quality education and try to look at some practical solution that we can immediately practice to improve our life and people around us as well. Yeah. Okay, so if we focus on the right side of the screen, so we could see there Azizul Hasni Awang. So he's a silver medalist in the last Tokyo Olympic 2020. So this is his famous quote. He said here, saya in bahasa Melayu. So he said here, saya terus mencuba. Saya tidak pernah mengalah kerana saya tahu jika saya terus mencuba, satu hari nanti giliran saya untuk menjadi juara akan tiba. Dan akhirnya hari ini adalah giliran saya. Saya juara dunia. So probably the most important words and phrases in this quote would be mencuba, which is try, and tidak pernah mengalah, never give up. So I feel that these are very important words and phrases that we need to remember. And I feel that it is applicable not only in sports setting, but also in education setting as well. Yeah. So we could see that quality education is a long and continuous process. It requires participation. It requires commitment. It requires togetherness among all stakeholders, starting from the students, starting from the teachers, starting from the administrators, and also the people that makes up the community, parents, all these NGO and so forth. Okay, just a little bit of perspective here. Think about it. So it's a bit unfortunate. Malaysia is the reigning and the current #1 most obese country in the Southeast Asia. So we beat the like of Brunei, we beat the like of Thailand, we beat the like even Indonesia as well. Yeah. So according to National Health Mobility Survey in 2019, it says that 50.1% of Malaysian adults are considered overweight and obese. And most worryingly, as we could see, about 28.7% of youngsters aged between 5 to 17 are considered overweight and obese. And we know that obesity is the gateway to many metabolic diseases such as diabetes type 2, hypertension, and also cardiovascular diseases. So this is 2021. Just try to imagine, so what will happen in 2025, 2030, for example, if things goes on? So what could happen to the newer generation? Yeah. So these are the things that we hope to try to improve from the roots of the problem, which is education and practice. So the two contributing factors that I feel the most important thing and I wish to highlight today is basically the food and lack of physical activity. So food, just to give you a little bit of perspective. So here in Malaysia, so we have a very famous fast food chain. So for about RM6 equivalent to $1.50. So we could get a cheeseburger and another side, maybe a chicken nugget, maybe an apple pie, or maybe a French fries, for example. So those are very cheap and very accessible as well. So everywhere that you go in Malaysia, you could find this fast food chain. And especially before the COVID-19 pandemic, so this restaurant are operating at 24/7. So people could go there at any time and consume all this processed, all this instant food as well. And secondly, lack of physical activity. If we could see the picture here, it shows that an individual is holding a smartphone. So this is interesting for us to see the relationship of that smartphone with lack of physical activity. Okay, so lots of numbers in this slide. Yeah, lots of numbers in this slide. So bear with me. So this is ICT use and access survey report by the Department of Statistics Malaysia in 2019. So if we could see, if we skim through the infographic here, so we could see that the numbers are rising for each year. Yeah. So if we try to focus on the top part here, it says the internet. So it shows an increment from 87% in the 2018 to 90% in 2019. Then if we go to the access to mobile phone, and we could see that in 2019, more Malaysian at least possess more smartphone compared to 2018. And then if we go down here, we have 5 popular activities of internet use. So we have 97.1% of Malaysian is using their internet to participate in social network. So, you know, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and so forth. And then we have 84.7%. So used for downloading images, movies, videos, playing or downloading games. And we have about 83.5% finding information about goods and services. So this is, I think it is before the COVID-19. So just to give you a little bit of example and perspective, my mom, she's a government servant retiree. So once we have the COVID-19 pandemic coming, so she start to embrace this e-commerce. So more every time that we go back to our parents' house, especially in the weekend, so we could almost every time there is a delivery man sending all sorts of parcel, starting from a bottle of jam to a furniture to all sorts of stuff. So it shows that e-commerce is definitely booming, and the COVID-19 pandemic is especially boosting or trigger people embracing this e-commerce concept. Yeah. So the main question is, technology, is it good or not good? What do you think? So these are very important questions that we need to ask. Yeah. And a famous quote by Jim Hansen, he said that if you can't beat them, join them. So I am with Jim Hansen. Yeah. So I feel that we cannot stop, we cannot control the technology from coming towards us, but instead, why not? So we take the technology and we manipulate the technology to our benefit, to improve our education, to improve our physical activity among youngsters. So those are the things that I am proposing in this short lecture. And hopefully, if we could do that, we could also achieve the quality education and the SDG goals. Okay, so just relax for a while. Okay, just try to have a look at these short videos. And while you are watching the videos, try to take some time using the same paper that you have used before. Try to answer. So what happened in that videos? Would you side with the mom or daughter? and what would you do differently in that particular video? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a while. Hold on, stop share. So I'm going to share. Hold on. Give me a second. Yeah? Okay, so hold on. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Share screen. So host attendee. Okay, hold on. I'm not really good at this. Hold on. Just share very quick. Share. Okay, so I'm trying to open. Okay, hold on. If I could move this. Can everyone see the video, please? Yes. Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
Zulkifli.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering. Okay, so this is the video.
Mr. Zulkifli, I'm afraid we cannot hear the audio because
Oh, right.
yeah.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so I'm not really familiar with Zoom. So
Do you want me to help?
that would be great.
Would you
That
please
would be-
share the link to us?
Okay,
and
so
we will help
I'll
you.
start share first. Okay, so I'm going to click the copy. Okay, so hold on. So in the chat, yes?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so that is the link.
Okay.
Beli lipstick Maybelline dong. Di Shopee aja. 10 brand festival, 100% ori.
Okay.
Yes? No? Thank you.
You did such a good job at school. You deserve a treat.
Yum, I want the Oreo.
No, not for you.
But I got better grades than Sarah.
Sweetheart, we talked about this. Look at yourself. You need to lose weight.
You're at a donut shop when you see a mom with her 2 daughters. She's rewarding one of them with a donut, but the other one, she's on a strict diet. Will customers side with our mom who desperately wants her daughter to lose weight, or with a young girl who simply wants to enjoy a treat with her sister? What would you do?
One donut isn't going to affect my diet.
That's just the attitude that got us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, please stop the video. Thank you so much. Thank you for your help. Okay, so I'm going to share again my lecture very quick. Thank you. Okay, so those are the videos. But what would you do? And try to answer each of the questions and try to relate about quality education. Yeah, and try to relate about the long and continuous process of quality education. So yeah. Okay, moving on. So these are very important. So these are what we are proposing. So quality education through movement. I feel that especially in 2021, movement is very critical for each one of us to integrate in our class. Yeah, not only in physical health education, but also in science, in mathematics, in English, or any other classes as well. Yeah. So here, according to Zala and Langle, so these are 6 things that we can achieve through integrating movement into the learning session. So the first one is helping the students to prepare their brain. So basically with the movement, so the students are able to focus, are able to move, are able to better connect between the concept and the real situation, for example. And the most important thing is that they are much more prepared coming into the class. And secondly, about brain break is especially very critical for us to implement in our class, because brain break is, we do not need any specific skill. So we do not need any specific playing area nor equipment for us to do this brain break. Yeah, so it could be as simple as doing jumping jack in your class to help the student to relax a little bit from the content, helping them to refocus, giving them more oxygen to their brain so that they could focus, listen to the instruction after that. And especially if we look back to the research, so many research have said that most of us, we have attention span of probably maximum around 30 to 40 minutes. So having classes for 1 hour or 2 hours straight probably doesn't make sense for us to achieve that quality education. Remember, it's not the quantity, but it's all about the quality of education that we wanted to achieve. Yeah. And the third one is sport, exercise, and fitness. So according to WHO, World Health Organization, so they recommended all of us should get at least 60 minutes of active time. So through movement, so we can help the student to achieve that particular goal, to help them to to enjoy a little bit more in terms of your learning session, and also to get better engagement between their colleague and between the educator. And then we have class cohesion, review content, and teach content. So we do have one of the colleagues previously. So he teach about civilization, for example. So instead of just teaching, staying in front of the class, so instead he used a station, and each of the station represent different civilization. And each of the station, the students have to do specific types of movement, which help the educator expose this civilization to the student, and also to make the lesson content much more exciting for the student. Yeah. Okay, so these are the various alternatives on how we can manipulate the technology. So I hope you share actually. So if I could stop share one more time. So hold on, before that, so these are the second one. So this is Go Noodle. So I'm pretty sure some of us are familiar with Go Noodle. So Go Noodle is very good resources. All right, so these are the first example, which very simple game. What we could see, 4 minutes or less, maybe 2 minutes. So we could play the video in your class. So straight away energize each of your students. So they are having fun. They are have some time for them to relax and reflect what they have learned. Talk to their friends, have a little bit of laugh in the class, and hopefully they could learn better at the end of the session. Yeah. So these are one of the games that the students have done before. So basically, it's a game similar to Pac-Man. So basically, there is a minion and there is a ghost. So the students have to play the game, but instead of just getting an apple, for example, so the students have to solve the maze by answering the question about physical activity. So if they could avoid the goals and answer correct questions, so they would get point and progress to the next level. It's a very simple game. Okay, so these are my two personal favorite of what we call the exergame approach. Yeah, so the first one is what we call the fitness RPG. So I wish I could show it to you. So so this is almost similar to Final Fantasy. Some of us ever recognized that game, especially in the 90s, it is very famous. Yeah. So instead of just playing, so fitness RPG encourages the player to run, to jump, to do chores, to move around, to collect steps. So the more steps that we collect, so the more that we can convert into energy, we can upgrade our avatar, we can buy all sorts of weapon, equipment, and to progress to the next mission and wins the game. So it integrates the element of fun, the element of active, also integrate the element of physical activity. So the students can be introduced to different kind of physical activity, on how they can manage their time to do physical activity and so forth. That's wonderful. Also, we have zombie run game. So these are a story. So basically, we play this game. We are joining the game. We are trying to avoid from zombie horde and also try to build a new city, a survival city. So these are exciting as well. The more that we run, so the more equipment, things that we can collect to build our city. So again, the element of keep and exercise in education. And last but not least, we also have the Body Coach TV by Joe Wicks. So these are very famous example. So Joe Wicks is a physical education teacher. He's from the UK. So he's become famous, especially since the pandemic. So he started to use all sorts of costumes. So in this example, so Joe Wicks is using a Spider-Man costume to conduct his aerobic, his movement exercise. So those are very unique. And our nature, our nature, all of us are attracted to something novel, something different. So the more different, the more weird we are, the more the quality of that education will be. Okay, so these are quality education through high impact practices. So previously, all the technology and how we can use to improve our teaching and learning, and also the people around us as well. But this time, we hope to focus on the practices. So what we can do, in order to improve our teaching and learning process. So the first one here is we have active learning. So as what we could see in the pictures here, so we could see the students are taking charge of the learning process. So the students are explaining about the purpose of sport massage. The students are talking to potential customer, for example. So the students are demonstrating, the students are selling their services. So these are very good, where they have to communicate, where they have to solve the issue, and so forth. So active learning, very important. First step to high impact practices. The more chances that we give to our students, the more that they would learn, the more that they become human, become unique from each one of them. Second, prompt feedback. So these are very important as well, especially when you are learning technical things, sports, for example, sports skill. So the players or the students are much more fresh, much more attentive and receptive if we give prompt feedback to the students. And the best way to provide feedback is to provide immediate rather than delay feedback. Okay, and the third one is diverse learning style. So if we observe the picture here, we see that all these students are different. Their background, some of them are really tall, some of them are not too tall, for example. It shows that one shoe doesn't fit all sizes. So we have to understand that all students are different. So probably the best keyword I wish to emphasize in this picture is empathy. Empathy. So we have to learn how to put ourselves in other people's shoes in order for us to deliver that quality education. So those are very important. Not everybody is Fahim, and especially everybody is different. Those are the goal. And having empathy and also observant. So we have to make sure our students, probably their capability, their understanding of the content. So those are the basis for us to plan and to modify our education. So hopefully we can achieve that quality education at the end of the session. Last but not least, real world application. For example, we have the UITM Sat1 Nano Satellite, which is launched on June 29. So these are the example on how we can bring out all the things that we have learned inside the classroom to the real world situation. So these are the most important thing. Always try to provide example that they could relate to the things around them, for example. So we do have one student previously teaching about health education. So in that particular lesson, he was teaching about substance abuse. So instead of just telling the student about drugs, about cigarette, about vape, for example, e-cigarette. So instead of doing that, he bring the actual object to the class. So the student can touch, the student can really see the actual object, which help them to better relate with what happened in their life, what happened to their family, and so forth. So these are very important for us to provide the bridge, for us to show the linkages between the concept and the real world situation. Most of the time, most of the issue that we have got from the student, that they have learned about all these technical things, but they do not know what to do with it. So once they go outside of the classroom, they cannot remember, they do not know what to do in that particular situation. So I feel that most of the time we are too focusing on the technical part, we are too focusing on the textbook and less on the application. What happened in that situation, what happened on this situation, and so forth. So these are very important things. So these are very simple. So these are the immediate thing that we can do in order to promote quality education and hopefully having this high impact teaching practices. Okay, so what are the things that we wanted from quality education? Yeah, so the most ultimate outcome that we wanted from quality education is basically student engagement. Students are more receptive. Students wanted to learn more. Students wanted to ask questions about that particular content. So those are a very good indicator that we have achieved that quality education. So quality education or student engagement can directly translate it into good grade, feeling of persistence, completion of tasks, and student satisfaction, and gain a range of desired outcomes. So they become better student and individual as a whole. Yeah. So the key here, the human interaction would probably are the key for us to get that quality education, for them to remember, for them to appreciate, for them to start practicing all the things that they have learned in the classroom in the real world situation. So next time when they go to, for example, McDonald's, so instead of buying large set of cheeseburger, so they can choose to medium size of set, for example. So because of that quality education. Remember that quality education is a long and continuous process. Okay, so these are very important quote by RBC now. So it says here, there are no incurable diseases, only the lack of will. There are no worthless hurt, only the lack of knowledge. So these are very important and very powerful quote that I hope that each one of us try to remember and try to reflect on our everyday practice. So if I have to leave you now, so there are 4 important keywords that I hope each one of us try to remember, try to reflect, and try to take some action out of it. Yeah. So the first one is knowledge. Knowledge is very important. Knowledge is very important. Those are the first thing that differentiate between us and the others. Yeah. Second one is will, passion, interest, eagerness to do, to compete, to learn about that content. And the third one is try. People say they try. If we try, at least we have tried. At least we have know about that thing, rather than we never try and we do not know what is the outcome or consequences from it. Yeah? People say that it's better to regret from buying the product rather than regret not buying the product. Is that right, doctor? But people say it's good that you regret buying rather than regret not buying that particular product. That is the famous quote by my mom, actually. So she said, just buy it. So those are not good, actually. So don't do that. Yeah. So I think that's it. So thank you so much for lending me your ears. I hope in this short lecture, each one of us, are able to take 1 or 2 things, take away message, and hopefully, most importantly, try to start doing that small little things and action for us to improve the quality education in ourselves and the people around us as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zulkifli, for very insightful presentation. For your information, now I'm a fan of your mom.
Thank you.
Okay, so now let's move to Miss Gingo, please. kindly share your presentation. And as I mentioned before, you have 40 minutes in maximum to deliver your presentation. So Ms. Gingo, Zoom and time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Shaliha. But before I start my lecture, I would like to express my gratitude to be invited here. So I'm a bit nervous actually for this activity. But well, we're all in this together and we're trying to learn from one another. Okay, I'm so happy to be here. By the way, I'm Miss Verna Gingo. So I am a faculty. I teach English language and literature at Surigao State College of Technology. At present, I'm taking my doctorate degree at Ateneo de Manila University. So I'm going to discuss a topic that I encountered when I am taking my doctorate degree. This is just new to me. I will not presume that I am an expert, but this is a topic that is very close to me, that is very important for me as an English teacher. Okay, so I will be discussing world Englishes and quality education. So just an anecdote, when I sent my topic, I included world Englishes and quality education. And then when I received my poster, I noticed that they use world English. And I understand that the word Englishes, the one who made the poster may have thought that that is a typo error. So I just let it be, and I tried to make it a learning experience for us because the ES there in the world Englishes is a very important concept. Okay. So in this lecture, we will answer the following questions. What is the historical context of the spread of Englishes to the world? What is world Englishes and Catchru's concentric circles? And what could be the role of world Englishes to ensure an exclusive education for? By the way, is my audio okay, Miss Shaliha?
For me, it's okay, Miss Gingo. I can hear your voice, even though it's not like very clear. Maybe because of the internet connection, I guess.
Okay, so can I just change my headset because I think some of my friends are actually in the Zoom and they tell me that my voice is breaking up. Is it okay with you?
Yes, it's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will just stop share for a while. I'm so sorry for that. Can you hear me?
Is that okay? It's okay. I mean, now it's better.
Okay, let me just figure this out. Okay.
Hello, Miss Gingo.
Okay, I'm so sorry for that. Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's better than before.
Okay, but I cannot hear the any response.
Hello?
Miss Shaliha, can you respond to me first?
Yes, hello.
I cannot hear you.
Oh, I can hear you very well, better than before. How about other participants?
I can hear both of you, Mbak Batus.
I see. So I guess the problem is in the microphone of Miss Gingo.
Yeah, previously I can hear Miss Gingo. How about
Okay, yeah.
now?
Now I can hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's
It's
okay. It's
okay.
okay. It's normal during the
So
connection like this.
I get agitated. I got agitated. I'm
It's
so
okay, Miss.
sorry. Okay. So let's continue.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we have here, let me continue. So the historical context of the spread of Englishes to the world. What is world Englishes and Katsu's concentric circles? What could be the role of world Englishes in ensuring an inclusive education for all? So let us first start with the history of the spread of English. I hope I will not bore you to tears with this story. So in the beginning, there are 4 diaspora. So the first one is English in the British Isles. So England invaded or colonized Wales. So Wales is part of England now. But before, when they colonized it, they make it into a law that people who doesn't speak the English language, because Wales people speaks Welsh. So they make it into a law that people from Wales should speak English instead of their native language. So this was the beginning of using English as a cultural ammunition, as a tool for economic mobility. So, and then England also colonized Ireland and Scotland, and in the process, these people lost their language, which is Gaelic and Cyrillic. So that was the first diaspora of English. So British in the British Isles. The second diaspora is the colonial expansion. This is the time when, in order to avoid prosecution, English people went to North America, the US, and then in search for better economic position, they also go to Australia. Australia was actually, based on what I read, was a penal colony. So prisoners from England were sent to Australia, and then this community of people established these people from England established their own community using English in doing their everyday things. So this is the second diaspora of English. The third one is a history of colonialization. So British people went to India, to Malaysia, to Brunei, di ba? Okay, sorry, that is my... Okay, so in the Philippines, we are unique in the sense that we are the only country that was colonized by the United States. The rest, India, in Southeast Asia, we have Malaysia, Brunei, Singapore, right? You're colonized by the British people. But in the Philippines, we were colonized by the US. So this is the third diaspora. So English in nations and continents with tiny minorities of English users. So as we were colonized, our colonizer made it into a law that we should speak English, or we should learn English. In the context of the Philippines, if you wanted to move ahead economically, you have to learn how to speak English. Even scholars are sent to the US in order to study in the US. They are called pensionados. So they study literature. Some of our greatest literary writers in English were sent to the US in order to study. So this is the time that English made contact with a language that is very different, because English is a Germanic language. So Philippines have Austronesian language. So we have around 89 languages. So it made contact with these regional languages. And of course, it has developed, it influenced the English that we speak today, the English that we speak in the Philippines. So this is the third diaspora. So invasion, colonization, and then the contact with the local languages. the fourth one is this is the context of Indonesia. And in Southeast Asia, we have Thailand, we have Indonesia. You were not colonized by an English-speaking country, right? You were colonized by the Dutch. So, and then you decided to study English as the privileged foreign language. Am I right? Correct? Foreign language.
Correct.
Yes. So this is the fourth diaspora. So this is the time of globalization. So you were not colonized. So unlike the Philippines, wherein since 1901, we are learning English. So after these countries only recently decided, maybe 1950s onward after the war. So at the era of globalization, so you start, this is the fourth spread of English. So this is the historical context of the spread of Englishes, the emphasis on the ES to the world. Because now there is no one English. All the Englishes that we speak are as legitimate as the English that is spoken in the US or in the UK. Okay. So what is World Englishes? So it is an umbrella label covering all varieties of English worldwide and the different approaches used to describe and analyze them. So all varieties of English. So we have Philippine English, Indian English, Indonesian English. Okay. Singapore English is actually a very prominent English in the World Englishes study. So it is a very well-studied variety of English. So that is. So it is used in a narrower sense to refer to the so-called New Englishes in Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean. So because of colonization in Asia and Africa and Caribbean, new varieties of English sprouted. Used to represent the pluricentric. The word there is pluricentric, many center of approach to the study of English associated with Kachru. He is considered to be the father of World Englishes. He started studying in 1962 in Indian with his dissertation Indian English, and often referred to as the Kachruvian approach. So this is Braj Kachru. So he died in 2016. He coined the World Englishes. He studied Indian English, the features of Indian English, and then there was a big debate around 1970s because Quirk, this is a scholar also in English. He said that when you study English, it should be the native speaker norms and standards that you should follow. Kachru argued that you can actually, the English that is spoken in India, in the context of India, is different from the English spoken in the UK. So that was the beginning of the study of the World Englishes, which we are continuing at the moment. So he termed the World Englishes. It's not World English because if you mean World English, there is only one English spoken in the world. But when you say Englishes, there are many English spoken in the world. Okay, so he established a very prominent organization, International Association of World Englishes. So I happened, one of my professors happened to be, Dr. Isabel Martin was one of my professor, and he introduced to me the World Englishes concept. And I thought, yeah, it makes sense because I cannot follow, I don't need to sound like UK or an American, I don't need to have an American accent in order for me to be called an English speaker. Okay. So we have here our journal. So the World Englishes Journal. If you get to be interested in this particular topic, I suggest that you try to check this journal. Okay. So we have here the concentric circles of World Englishes. This is a characterization. This is how Kachru described the expansion and the diffusion of English and its present global status. So we have here, this is a ripple in the pond. Are you familiar with a ripple? So when you throw a stone, diba, like the stone will move and then there are ripples. So this explains the pluricentric nature of English. So we have here the inner circle, which is the USA, the UK, Australia. So these are considered to be quote unquote, my professor would say quote unquote native speaker. Then we have the outer circle. We have India, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Brunei. So these are the outer circle. These are former colonies of the UK and the US, and then the expanding circle. So these are the countries in the fourth diaspora. So we have China, Indonesia, and Thailand. So this describes, this is just a metaphor of how English is today. So it has changed. The concentric circle keeps on changing. So if you research online, you might encounter this model because English is not static. It keeps on changing. So that is it. Okay, so we have here factors on the characterization of the world Englishes, the history of the types of spread and motivation for the location of the language. So in the Philippine context in 1901, the Tamasites came into the Philippines and they taught us English. The materials used were that of American classroom. So we studied their literature. But in 1925, there was a survey saying that the Filipinos sound like birds because we don't sound American. So that was in the survey, and it was basically what I understood about that survey was that it's a failure. The English language learning in the Philippines is a failure, but without considering that English is a transplanted language in the Philippines. So that is the variety that we speak, okay? So the spread and motivation. So the motivation maybe for Indonesia to learn English is to be able to, example in ITS, I researched that you are on technology. Information in English, information in technology are all in English. So it is the privileged language of knowledge. So that could be the motivation for learning English, okay? Because I tried to research ITS. I went to your channel, and then I tried to see if you have English in your channel, if you have English programs, but there were only lots of Indonesian. Unfortunately, I don't speak Indonesian, so maybe one of your goals is just to be able to communicate with, to gather information and do something like this, diba? Okay. So patterns of acquisition. So in the Philippines, we are in the ESL, English as a Second Language. We start learning in our previous educational system, 1974 bilingual education program. It's English and Filipino as medium of instruction and the regional languages because we have 89. It's lesser compared to Indonesia. According to Ethnologue, Indonesia has 900. Is that true? Is that correct? Like you have you are a very multilingual society. So the Philippines is just 89. So patterns of acquisition, we learn it at an early age. Okay, while in Indonesia, it's in higher year, as what I've read. So because what I'm trying to do is comparing Indonesian and Philippine English. Okay, so patterns of acquisition. So we learned it at an early age. Okay, then we have societal depth of the language in terms of its users and the range of functions. So in outer circle countries, such as the Philippines, English is considered an official language. So all our businesses, our Congress, our communication, our schools, we use English. So that is part of, even when we make videos or anything, we use English. So in outer circle, in expanding circles such as Indonesia, it's more like a foreign language. So do you, Miss Shuliha, so do you use English in conducting your business in the government?
No.
You use Indonesian?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is yeah. So that is the range of depth in terms of function assigned to English. It is part of our language policy. English is very embedded in our language policies. So that is for the outer, this is very common in outer circle countries, such as even Singapore. It's an outer circle country. They made English as the de facto language. How about in Malaysia, Sir Ahmad? Do you study, how early do you study English?
We start from the primary school. So basically it's all the way till high school. So every year, English lesson compulsory, yes.
How about in your business, in your Congress, for example, or your when you do business with other people? Oh, yes, such as like that. Do you use English? In your communication, like formal communication, mga law, in your laws, do you use English?
Formal communication is basically in Bahasa Malaysia, so native language. But most of private sectors, so they prefer sometimes to use this English language for them to communicate with stakeholders and so forth.
Okay, so that's a very different context, because in our context, all our laws from the Congress, the Senate, these are all written in English. So it's very embedded in our language, in our everyday life. Okay. So we have here functional acculturation of the English language within the local culture. So in our literature, we have English. So one of our prominent writers, Jimeno Abad, he is a writer of University of the Philippines. He articulated that we have colonized English. We were colonized by the Americans, but we have used English, we took it as our own, and we have colonized it. So it has become ours, okay? So nativization, we have basically nativized English. So although I'm a bit nervous of this time doing this lecture, but I am confident with my English. Okay, so because I have understood that the English that I'm speaking is mine, it is the formal and functional. We have nativized it. So when you say nativization, it is the formal and functional changes in the language that the language undergoes at various linguistic levels, and the diffusion of English over centuries involves geographical expansion into regions of the world that has distinct physical realities and social, cultural, and linguistic identities. So that is the history of the diffusion of English. So we have Indonesian English. In the process of researching this topic, because I would like to relate it to Indonesian English, I come up with an article wherein people criticize Jokowi, that is your president, because there was an instance that he spoke English, and then somebody actually from the World English Scholar defended him that is the reflection of the English spoken in Indonesia. So it's in Jakarta Post, because I read a research article mentioning Jokowi. So this might be the future of English in Indonesia, because as what I know, Jokowi is really, when he do, I tried to search him because I'm not very familiar, unfortunately. So I tried to search him. He constantly speak in Indonesian. And then there is this instance where he spoke with the Prime Minister of Singapore. So it was in English. So there was an article, there was, I think, a debate that Is it the right Indonesian? Something like that. Okay. So that is the future of English. So we cannot just maintain that it should just be US or UK or Australian varieties. Our varieties are legitimate as well. So the process of Englishization, so Englishization of Indonesia or Englishization of the Filipino language. So I search English in Indonesia and I come across with Laura Cinta. Are you familiar with her? Yeah, see, she's a German, I guess. She's European, right? And then I watched her YouTube video and then she spoke English and Indonesian. The part that is English, I understood. But the part of Indonesian, I did not. But that is one example of actually how you play creatively with the English language. So there was also an article that criticized this practice. I actually have to search Laura Cinta. I hope I pronounce her name well correctly, because it was mentioned that there was a contention, I guess, if she is a real Indonesian or what, because she speaks gabu-gabu English. I don't know. Gabu-gabu is a mixed food. Am I right? Gabu-gabu. It's a food that is mixed. So that is a playful way that is one way of English sizing a language and nativization. So characteristics, recognition of English in the overall language policy of the English using nation. So it is part of, in Indonesia, it is a foreign language. It is part of your education in secondary, I guess. In the Philippines, it is part of the language policy in education from the primary. So an extended tradition of contact literatures in English that are recognized as part of the national literatures. As an English teacher, I have to teach English literature, Filipino literature in English. So this is Filipino literature, but these are written in English. We have a very long tradition of literature in English. In Indonesia, I read once, I cannot remember the man, let me just check. I took note because I cannot pronounce the name of that writer. Let me just check. The Man, The Earth of Mankind by Pramudya and Ananta. Are you familiar with him?
Yes. He's
Yes,
quite famous novelist.
Yes. He's a famous writer. So what are who are the other famous writers of Indonesian writers who wrote in English? I can only find him. Do you read a lot of literature in Indonesia? In English?
Basically, me myself, I read almost all English literature.
English literature.
Yes.
But written by Indonesian?
No.
No?
For Indonesian writer, I read of course in Indonesian, but I guess only few numbers of writers wrote in
English.
In English, yes,
in
I mean.
English. So that is the difference. But I understood also because you just recently, 50 years. You started 50 years ago as a foreign language, Indonesia. Am I right? After the war. So as part of learning, you have the Dutch, and then after the Dutch left, you decided that this is what I read. You decided to have English as a foreign language instead of Dutch. But do you speak Dutch?
Me? No.
No. But yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, I don't speak Dutch at all. But maybe my grandmother or grandfather's generation, of course, they learn and sometimes speak Dutch. Yes.
Yeah, but Dutch Netherlands they stayed in Indonesia for quite a long time, right? But but still you chose English as your foreign language. So isn't that amazing how powerful the English language is? So that's why then, social penetration of the language that has resulted in several social, ethnic, and functional sub-varieties. My professor, Dr. Isabel Martin, conducted a study on this, that in the Philippines, we have also our own circles. So it's called circles within a circle. So there are inner circle people who belongs to the inner circle, such as myself, which understood world Englishes, and I accepted that my English is legitimate and all of that. But then there are also those people who belong to the outer circle, but they understand world Englishes, but they cannot they cannot implement it because the school system does not accept it. There is an English only policy in some schools here. So that is part of the outer circle. And then they have the expanding circle. These are the people that regardless what English you speak, it doesn't matter. Okay, they don't care because English doesn't have effect in their daily lives. So they speak Filipino or the regional languages. So English is a very well studied language in my country. So that is we have already sub varieties. Distinct linguistic exponents of the process of nativization at various levels. So different Englishes have different linguistic characteristics. My pronunciation might be different from Mr. Ahmad's pronunciation or from Shuliha's pronunciation. So that is just okay. So that is the variety. That is what World Englishes is trying to articulate, the differences and the diversity of the English speakers. Okay. An extended range of localized genres and registers. So in the Philippines, do you know what is CR or comfort room? Do you have any idea? It's English. Do you know what is comfort room? Comfort room. No idea? No. So comfort room is an English word, but that is a Philippine English. That is our toilet or shower. Oh, the toilet. We basically call our toilet comfort room. So it's English. Comfort is English. Room is English, but you don't understand what is comfort room. So that is a localized genre and register. And all our sneakers, we call it rubber shoes. So if it's a trainer, sneakers, tennis shoes, it's still rubber shoes for us. Okay. How about in Malaysia? What are the common register that you think it is not spoken in other countries, but it's English? Sir Ahmad.
I can't recall actually. Can anyone help? Probably, sure.
I'm sorry for putting you on the spot.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. Sorry.
How about you, Miss Ochik? What English term you have in Indonesia? It's English, but it's not spoken in other English-speaking countries. It's not used. Can you think of any? No?
I think Miss Nasiti already sent an answer in the chat box. It is handphone.
Cell phone.
Yeah, so usually we use some shorten one, like do you see my phone, rather than do you see my phone. In Indonesian we call it like do you see my HP? HP means handphone. So at the first time when we know about HP, we thought that it was Indonesian, especially in Jakarta language that is shortened, like it's more millennial language, but
yes.
It was from English language, which is it's a cell phone, handphone.
Handphone, yeah. We actually use even they use handphone. We use cell phone in the Philippines. This is the first time that cell phone. It's a handphone. Okay, so that is the localized genre and register. So that is one of how a variety is institutionalized. It is entrenched in our daily life. Okay. So we have here Englishized varieties of local languages, some of which may have even acquired distinct names. So we have Philippine English, Indian English, Singaporean English, Singlish. So that is Singaporean English. Acculturation of the English language for articulating local, social, cultural, and religious identities. So one writer, Chinua Achebe, said that we should be able to use English to, he's an African writer. He said that use English in order to express the African identity. So I use English in order to express my being Filipino, my accent, my register, I use English in order to articulate my social, my cultural identity, my identity as a Filipino. Okay. So there are myths in the process of Englishization and nativization. So it's a myth or a fallacy because this is what the outsiders think. In ASEAN, we are either expanding outer circle or expanding circle. So these are some of the myths that the study of world Englishes would like to destabilize or would like to correct. So world Englishes in Anglophone Asia, such as the Philippines or Malaysia, and Africa are acquired and used to interact with canonical native speakers of English, which is actually not correct. Okay, we use English. We are in this webinar. We all speak English, but is there anybody who is a native speaker, an Australian or UK? So yeah, we are not from the inner circle, but we use English. So when we in ASEAN, the working language, it's articulated actually in the ASEAN Charter of 2009 that the working language is English. So among ASEAN countries, when we converse, we don't think of UK or the US when we are speaking. What was our intention in doing this when we communicate with one another is for us to be understood, right? I'm trying to do my best that you understand my lecture. So that is a myth that we only learn English in order to communicate with native, quote unquote, native speaker. We use English or we study English in order to create or to communicate with the broader world. And that is not necessarily from people from the UK or the US. Okay? So that is a myth. Second one is world Englishes are acquired to learn Judeo-Christian traditions as articulated in American and British cultural and literary values and traditions, which is a myth or a fallacy because in Indonesia, you learn English not to learn how to become a Christian, right? So it is not to acquire the Judeo-Christian tradition. It is just used to communication. So this is a myth. This one, the inner circle Englishes are primary and standard model providers. I beg to disagree. So we can use, in learning English, we can use models from outer circle. So actually there is a research about textbooks in Indonesia, wherein some textbook use Singaporean English and Malaysian English as a model, cultural model. So I just can't remember the title. I will send you if you want a copy of it. But basically, it is not just the inner circle Englishes that are the primary and standard model. So outer expanding circle, those people learning English as a foreign language could use models from outer English, such as Indian English or Singaporean English or Philippine English as their model in learning Englishes. So you have options now. It's not just the UK You don't have to sound like Harry Potter. Okay, so you can sound as you are. That is a legitimate model of English. So conceptually, all varieties of world Englishes in outer circle are essentially deficit. I disagree. This is a myth because it's legitimate. Some scholars would say English is actually an Asian language. It is one of the languages spoken in Asia. And Asia is one of the most diverse continents. We speak a lot. It's a wonderful, wonderful place because I'm fascinated with different languages. And Asia is that place. And English is just one of the languages spoken in Asia. So it is considered to be an Asian language. Okay. Number 5, historically, it is the inner circle that has provided or should provide models and standards for ELT pedagogy, English language teaching pedagogy, creativity, and canonicity of Englishes across Anglophone regions and cultures. No, because we can learn from one another. Countries from outer circle and countries from expanding circle can take each other's English as a model and standard. Okay. So this is one example of the output of Philippine English study in the Philippines, a dictionary of Philippine Englishes. The arms of codification of the English language established and imposed by agencies of the inner circle should ideally control the variation and diversity. No, because we can codify, we have our own codification. So the Philippines have our own dictionary of English. So it's not just the outer, it's not just the American variety or the British variety that is legitimate for us. This actually, World Englishes is very close to my heart personally as a learner, because I have encountered being corrected in pronunciation when I was a student, and then it's kind of harsh, you know, and then because we don't understand that the English that we speak are actually legitimate. It's a correct English, okay? But then if the teacher is unaware of this, the teacher will insist that you should only have British or American accent and pronunciation that is wrong, without realizing that that is actually a feature, that is an asset. It makes using a particular language more creative, more enjoyable, because in the end, the purpose of language is for communication. Okay. So what would be the role of World Englishes in ensuring an inclusive education for all? So the UN says that Sustainable Development Goals, quality education, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So what's the point of incorporating World Englishes or learning about World Englishes? So there is a certain anxiety when speaking when learning English. That feeling that, oh my God, I might get corrected. Is my pronunciation all right? Is my diction all right? So that is it. So what could be the role? So there is actually a study conducted in Thailand by Ayutthaya and Sitiko. Thailand is an expanding circle. They are the only country in Southeast Asia that was not colonized. So it is about on language anxiety and language achievement. Basically, what the study did is they incorporated World Englishes lessons in this particular subject. So the teachers exposed the learners to the different varieties of English, such as Chinese English, Indian English. So they have an extensive input, videos, written articles. So what they found out, because students have anxiety when they learn English, students have anxiety. of when our standard is native, our standard is that of an inner circle or quote unquote native variety. If our standard is a UK variety or a US variety, sometimes we feel that, oh my God, my English is not that good. Okay, my accent is horrible. So that could cause anxiety among the learners, especially if teachers insist that this should be your accent or pronunciation. So it could cause anxiety, and instead of participating in the class, the students will just keep quiet because the teacher keeps on correcting the students of his or her pronunciation. So what they found out after they exposed their students to the world Englishes variety, the varieties of Englishes, it helps the students develop a more positive attitude towards their own and other non-native varieties. So they learn to understand that having a Thai accent is not bad. It's just your identity. Okay? So they become more positive in their use of English. They don't become shy. Sometimes you get shy. When I was young and I was just a beginner learner of English, I tend to get shy in speaking in English and participating in class because our medium of instruction is English, because I'm afraid of being corrected. I'm afraid that my English is not good enough. So after exposing the students to these varieties of Englishes, the students develop a more positive attitude. And in everything that we do, it is always our attitude that will determine our success. Diba? Okay. Help students develop a sense of ownership of the English language. Wedison said, Henry Wedison, he's a scholar, that English was spoken by everybody, so nobody owned it, or everybody owned it. So did you get it? It's because it is so spoken all over the world. It is not just a it has become everybody's language. So we own English, and in the end, nobody owned English because everybody owned it. It's contradictory. Do you get what I mean? Huh? You're smiling. I hope you understand. I hope that you get the point that all the Englishes that is spoken today is as legitimate as the UK, the US, or the Australian English. This is just basically the point of world Englishes. Okay. So understanding world Englishes helps increase students' ability to extend and transfer their cultural knowledge to facilitate international communication. So English ceased to be just a subject that you have to study and pass so that you will get your diploma. It has become a medium, a tool for you to communicate with the world. So they are not afraid to use English in the internet, to converse with friends from other countries, because they have understood the world English's paradigm. So facilitate international communication. So instead of just shutting up, just listening, they participate in an international conversation. So speakers of different varieties of English. Then it helps learners develop more confidence in their ability to communicate in English when confronting interlocutors from different linguistic backgrounds, such as what we're doing now. So we come from different countries and we use English in order for us to share knowledge and ideas. So there is no fear of being judged that I am better. Nobody is better or worse. All of us are learners of English. And World Englishes is articulating that the English language will continue to change. We will adapt it. Each country that uses English will adapt it and then make it into their own. And these varieties that sprung, that comes, or that becomes the identity of that country. So basically, the World Englishes is trying to destabilize the norm, the pedagogy, the view that only UK, US, or Australian varieties are legitimate. We all speak, this is an ideology actually. We all speak a legitimate variety of English. Isn't it amazing that we are all English speakers? So that is the concept of World Englishes. So I hope that you will not be shy, or you will take pride in the English that you speak. Because understanding World Englishes makes us more tolerant of other people, makes us less judgmental of other culture. When we are exposed to the different varieties of English, we understand that this is just how this person speaks, and we don't think that, well, I'm a better English speaker than this person. No, we are all legitimate English speakers. And this is the point of World Englishes and how it can bring quality education. So we cease to have anxiety when we speak English. So I hope that you learned something from that talk. I talk a lot. Okay. And this is my references. So if you get interested in studying World Englishes, we have a journal, Asian Englishes. This is based in Singapore. And then we have English in Southeast Asia. So this is a biennial, once every 2 years, there is a conference. So my school is actually part of this conference. So in IE, National Institute of Education in Singapore, there are so many prominent scholars from Singapore in World Englishes paradigm. So they are advanced in that effect. Also in the Philippines, so we have Isabel Martin from Singapore. We have Ann Pakir, Iling Lo. So these are the these are the experts. I am not an expert on this yet. I am just a learner. But I subscribe to these thoughts in English teaching. So I have here, I will not show you a video because it's 10 minutes. David Crystal, you can find this one, World Englishes. So how the English has changed because of, he explained it more thoroughly than I do, I guess. So you can check out these videos. Okay, daghang salamat. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Gingo, for very insightful presentation. And again, thank you very much for the two respected speakers of today's session of this lecture series. Please, participants, let's give very warm applause to the speakers. All right, so now we arrive at the question and answer session. I welcome participants to directly ask questions to both speakers by raising your hand using the Zoom feature. Anybody, please? Basically, we also received several questions through the Google form that we shared the link before to the participants, but I guess it will be more interesting and active learning. So I would like to ask here the participant who already sent the questions to us through the link. Dewi Amelia from University Technology Malaysia. Would you like?
Actually, my question is a bit long and I forgot what I have written earlier. I'm sorry.
Do you want me to share the question to you?
Yeah, maybe you can just read it.
Okay. Okay then.
Thank you.
Okay, so the question that we received is, the question is for Mr. Zulkifli, and the question is, what is the best advice that could be implemented for people to change the obesity and quality education problem, because some people are scared or embarrassed to change because of people around them?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Wee, for the question. It's a very interesting question. Yeah, people always say that two mind or three mind are always better than one. Yeah, so it's the same thing that goes with physical activity. For you to do all by yourself. So normally the individual would be first month okay, the second month okay, but the third month he or she will start to divert and not doing physical activity as before. So one of the suggestions that I could share is to find peer support. Find a close friend that shared the same thought as you, and try to go on from there. And instead of following the others, so try to take gradually. Set your own goal, set a very small goal each day, and try to complete those small little goals. Those small little goals can help give you extra motivation for you to try again, challenge yourself to be better. So it's about the next step. You don't have to look what's too far in front of you, but instead just try to have a look what's in front of you that you can accomplish almost immediately. So, and plus one more, if I could suggest, try to find something that you like and try to play around the things that you prefer. For example, try to find a game that can also encourages you to move a little bit more. So if you are a little bit of gamers, maybe you can try to an option such as Nintendo Switch, for example. You can try to use, previously we have Xbox Kinect. So those are small things, modification that you can do for you to enjoy the physical activity a bit more. So obesity is much more than just body size or body appearance. It's also affect in terms of your motivation, your perception toward others, your relationship with others as well. So by doing activities, I think that would be the best solution or medicine for you to feel great about yourself and feeling confident for you to accomplish your life goal. All the best.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Zulkifli, for the answer. How, Amelia?
Yes, I get it. Thank you.
I see. Okay, thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Amira from UITM Malaysia to share your question to Miss Verna Gingo. Do you mind, or would you like to directly ask question? Amira? No? Okay, then let me read the question for you. So this question is for Miss Verna. Thank you very much for the wonderful speech, Miss Verna. As what Mr. Fahmi said, in Malaysia, we are still using Malay for formal language or business purposes, regardless our background, such as races or religion, especially in government sector. In Philippines, if you are using English for everything, then I wonder, when is the time for you to use Tagalog, except for daily conversation? Since you mentioned that even the laws are written in English. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Actually, in our popular culture, television, there is, we use Filipino. So I say Filipino because it's it's based in Tagalog, but it is also an evolving language because we have 89 languages. So we term it Filipino. We use it in popular culture. I guess that's it. That's just it. Majority, or in news reports, but in most formal gatherings, we, especially in the parts of Visayas and Mindanao, we have 3 big islands. In most formal events, we use English. In Luzon, which is the bigger island of the Philippines, they sometimes use Tagalog. But basically, we use English all the time. It's just in popular culture, in our entertainment, we use Filipino. But I haven't seen any laws written in, well, majority of the laws that I can access are actually in English, even the decrees. Okay.
I see. Thank you for the answer. It's also new knowledge for me regarding how languages are used in Philippines, because as far as I understood, I thought English is your national language, not Filipino.
Filipino, it's complicated. Okay, so even in our local, in the lowest forms of our government, we use English in our executive orders. I don't know why actually. Yeah, that is for identity. We use Filipino. We can speak. We studied it in school. We have our month where we celebrate Filipino, but majority of the year, especially for me as a teacher, I either use my local language or English. Filipino is more like, well, an option, but it shows our identity. When a person we're communicating with is not very proficient in English, because there are some people who are not very proficient in English, we use Filipino. So yes, that is one instance when we use Filipino. But among professionals or among any formal events, we tend to use English.
Okay, thank you, Miss Verna. Well, participants, I guess we still have around 10 minutes for the Q&A session. So I would like to welcome any other participants who would like to ask question. You can directly ask question to both the speakers, or you can use chat box, or just post your... okay, sorry. Here, there is Amelia, who just raised her hand. Please, Amelia.
Actually, I have a question for Miss Verna regarding English. Can you hear? Can you hear me? Okay, actually, I am from International Institute Malaysian Japanese in UTM. So actually, we know that Japanese have problem with English, right? And also, some of my Malaysian have difficulties in English. So what are the best advice that I can encourage them, because we need to know each other, and we need to know for the exchange of technology, right? And what are the advice that I can give to my friends, because we know that Japanese are shy, and we know that some of my Malaysian friends are also shy, because they know that our Malaysian English is different from Japanese English and other English. So is there any advice on that?
Just understanding that there's no reason for you to be shy with the English that you speak, because as what the world Englishes paradigm is trying to articulate, all our Englishes is legitimate. All the Englishes that we speak are legitimate. So you don't have to be shy. You just have to, that's why in the Thai study, you have to be more participant, such as what you're doing now. You are participating in a conference, asking your question. So that is one way for you to develop your confidence. That's why understanding world English, because it's all in our mind, that the English, why my English is not so good. You try to eradicate that thought from your mind, and you just use English. Just use English all the time and expose yourself to the different varieties of English. Because if you constantly look at Hollywood only as your model, diba? We watch a lot of Hollywood movies, and if our standard is only the US or the UK English, then there will be a tendency that we have a negative perception of our own English. So just go to the world and speak English. So that's my advice. I hope you learn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both Ms. Verna and Amelia for the question. To be honest, I can relate a lot with Amelia's question because currently I still live in Japan. And I face a lot of friends, even colleagues, even professor who are not very confident in speaking English, even though I believe they can speak English just because their English is quite different with the standard English that we understand all. That's why that problem arises every time. Yes, okay.
That is actually very common among outer and expanding circle, that feeling that our English is not enough. So that is a hindrance for us to communicate with other people. Diba? Okay, so we should try to eliminate that idea that we are not good in English. We are good in English. We are all learners of English. Okay.
Yes, that's true, indeed true. Okay, we still have 4 minutes. Is there anyone want to ask question? If not, can I ask a question very simple to Mr. Zulkifli? Because of course, I'm not a good person who practice a lot in sport. But yeah, I am particularly interested with your advice, like encouraging our student to do the fun learning using or also practicing using technology and exercise. But now during the pandemic situation, especially at ITS, we do almost all the courses online. And we sometimes experience the Zoom fatigue because we have to sit all the time during the courses. So can you please advise me as one of the lecturers at ITS, how can I conduct my class in a fun way and also incorporating kind of practice or sport or yes, some kind like that. So could you please advise to me, Mr. Zulkifli?
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor. That is actually very true. Yeah, we've been spending about almost 2 years now since the first COVID-19 pandemic. So most of us, many of us are sitting in front of the laptop most of the time during the day. Yeah, so these are definitely causing all sorts of stress and health issues to that particular person. So to answer to that particular question, the first keyword here is empathy. So if we as a lecturer feel stressed, feel tired, feel tired because of that thing, so that would be the exact same feeling that our students would feel in that particular situation. And because all of us have the experience of as a student once, so we know what are the expectations, what are our student interests, preferences as well. They like to move, they like to talk with each other, they like to engage with the class, they like to do all sorts of activity. So they do not want to listen for most of the time. So because of that, again, with empathy, so try to modify and try to plan for your class lesson around movement. So for example, before the start of the class, maybe we could start to do activity during, for example, online distance learning, we could do activities such as treasure hunt. So occasionally after half an hour of our class, okay, student, when I sit the word go, I need each one of you to find an object which have the color blue. So the students would run to the kitchen, get a blue spoon, for example. And try to do something which is different from the content that we teach, for example. So try to, okay, students, so now we'll start to use, in 1 minute, okay, try to demonstrate all the things that you have done yesterday, but you cannot talk. Instead, you have to demonstrate. So you have to show you're driving to the market, you are talking to you are playing with your friends. Those are the examples. And also language game, for example. So fortunately and unfortunately. Okay, student, let us make a movie. So fortunately, I bring a lot of money in my pocket today. Unfortunately, my pocket got ripped off and all the money are gone. Fortunately, there is somebody there to help me, to give me extra money. So those are some activities that we can do. So despite the pandemic, we have to do ODL. There are so many things and games that we could do to help our students to relax, refocus, and learn as best as they could throughout the session. All the best.
I see. Thank you very much. It's very insightful for me. Yes, I hope I can implement that to my courses or classes. Okay, I think that's all for the main session of today's lecture. Thank you very much again for Mr. Zulkifli and also Ms. Gingo for very insightful presentation and also the answer for the questions during the Q&A. Now, I would like to give back the time and Zoom to MC Ochik. Thank you very much for the time that given to me. And I would like to end with a good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Fahim, and also Ms. Verna Gingo for the excellent lecture today. And also thank you for Ibu Maratus for conducting this amazing session. And please give applause to our speaker and moderator using their Zoom reaction feature. Okay, furthermore, we would like to present a certificate awarding to our speaker, also to our moderator today. So the first certificate is for Mr. Ahmad Fahim. Okay, next certificate. Next certificate is to Ms. Verna Gingo. Okay, and finally for our moderator today, to Ibu Maratus. Okay, once again, thank you very much to Mr. Ahmad Fahim, Ms. Verna Gingo, and also our moderator Ibu Maratus, and for your availability on today's guest lecture series. We believe that your lecture will be useful for all participants. Okay, so as you can see in the screen, we have a next guest lecture series on next Tuesday. Of course, we have framings of system methodology SSM for community IT based project, and there is digitalization as a core pillar for institutional sustainability, the DIU experience. And for stream A, we have No Child is Left Behind, and also the beauty of Pua Kumbu design motifs. So don't miss out our GLS on SDGs next week, because I believe the lecture is gonna be more exciting and more insightful too. Okay, now before we end our lecture today, I would like to invite our participant as well as the honorable speaker and our moderator to take a group photo. And to all participants, please open your camera so we can take a good picture. Okay, so as you can see, I have 2 slides in here. Yes. Okay, for slide 1, say cheese. 1, 2, 3. Okay, slide 2. There is one open camera. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone. Now we finish our group photo. And for participants, please fill the feedback form through the link bit.ly/feedback_GLS that you can also see on the Zoom chat. Yeah, in this Zoom chat room. The deadline for filling the feedback is 1 hour after we finish this session. We want to remind you, for the participant who will get STEM are the participant who come on time, join this event until the end, and also fill the feedback form. And also, don't forget that we have guest lecture series next Tuesday. Finally, we reached the end of today's guest lecture series, and we sincerely apologize for any mistakes we may have made in presenting and as a master of ceremony and committee too. And thank you again very much to our honorable speakers, moderator, and to all participants for the attention and cooperation. We hope to see you soon in other events on occasion in the future. And also don't forget to follow our social media on Instagram at ITS International Office and also in our Facebook, and keep update for our programs. Also, GLS was informed in the social media too. And that's all from us. Good afternoon and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please